to the official podcast at contentchampion.com. Join our heroic quest to discover truly epic content marketing. Introducing your host, the content champion himself, Loz James.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 40 of Daddy's podcast.
Thanks to Ewan, my 6-year-old son, for today's introduction. A quick announcement, if you enjoy the show, don't forget to sign up for my weekly content marketing email newsletter at contentchampion.com/updates. Now, following the success of our Twitter traffic post that we did together, I'm delighted to be speaking with the social media bloke on today's show, Andrew McCauley of Autopilot Your Business. A highly experienced digital marketer, podcaster, author and speaker, Andrew is a goldmine of information on driving traffic using various techniques and is quite simply buzzing with the kind of tactics that I know we all love. So for this episode, number 40, I thought it would be a great idea to gain the benefit of Andrew's considerable knowledge to outline what's currently working in terms of driving traffic to our online businesses. That's enough from me, so let's dive in. Thanks for coming on, Andrew.
Oh, a pleasure, Loz. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, also known as the social media bloke, you're founder of the full-service digital marketing agency Autopilot Your Business and a best-selling author, SEO expert and event speaker. I discovered you through your excellent Twitter outreach strategy that I wrote about on Content Champion. So I thought it'd be great to ask you to come on the show so we could draw upon your wealth of knowledge about what's working in terms of driving traffic in online marketing and content marketing at the moment. Before we begin, though, could you tell us how you got started in the industry, please?
My original background was in hospitality. I spent 17 years running pubs in Australia, and if it's anything like the UK, which I know it is, pubs are part of our culture. You know, I love the marketing aspect of pubs. You know, you quickly knew whether your marketing was working or not, whether there was bums on seats in your bistro or your nightclub. And I really enjoyed that. But when I got out of hotels and hospitality in 2006, I started up my own business consulting. And way back in 2006, one of my very first clients said to me, hey, there's this thing called Facebook, and I hear some people are using it for business. Can you help us out? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I went away and thought, what the heck's Facebook? I've never heard of it. I started looking at it, and because I love marketing, I found it fascinating that these people were using this platform that was supposedly for kids to waste time on for marketing. I'm like, wow, how do they do that? So that began my love affair with social media. And as I learned a lot about Facebook, I started learning about Twitter and YouTube and all of the other social platforms that came about. And I found it easy to understand how it works, but a lot of other people were struggling. They're like, we don't get this stuff. And so I really enjoyed teaching people how to use it. And then, of course, we started our Autopilot Your Business in late 2009, 2010. We now service a lot of businesses, helping people get online, get found online. We also do a lot of website development from a marketing standpoint more than anything. There's a lot of pretty websites out there that don't do much. We develop websites that are actually designed with marketing in mind. You know, why do people go to your website? Or how do you get them to convert? And really make that money you're spending on online actually work for you.
Fantastic. Well, I want to really get the benefit of your experience today and dig down into some traffic generation techniques and break it down by tactic if we can. So
sure. Let's
start with that social media side of things. What are you doing right now across your social media channels to drive more traffic? Could you share a few tips with us? 3
platforms I'm concentrating on right now is LinkedIn, Google+, and Twitter. And essentially what I'm doing with my LinkedIn stuff is I am a member of about 23 different groups on LinkedIn. I really like the power of the LinkedIn group, and I'm not doing too much selling there. But what I am finding is that I'm sharing a lot of information, but I'm also connecting with other people's information. There's a lot of ghost town groups out there that have a lot of people, but no one's doing anything. And what I'm finding is if I spend a little bit of time interacting with some of them that are posting, because there's people in there that are posting regularly, and I know they're not posting automatically, they're physically going in and doing it manually, either them or someone for them. But most of the time I'm finding out, you can sort of tell which ones are doing it manually themselves. And I'm either sharing their information or asking them questions about the articles that they've written. And I'm finding that has been really powerful for me, because they're starting to say, hey, this person actually is reading what I'm posting, they're liking what I'm doing, because there's so much competition out there that a lot of content's just being chucked out there and people are hoping that others will read it. So I'm really making an effort to do that. I put a clock on my computer and I make sure that I'm spending at least 25 minutes every day on my different LinkedIn groups. Now, I'm not in all 23 groups every single day. I pick 5 a day and I'll go in and spend 5 minutes in each group each day. So LinkedIn is starting to really work well for me. And I'm looking, and I can see that in my analytics too. So I'm really keeping a track of everything I do. I think that's an important thing for most people to understand is if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not measuring it, then you don't know if it's working or not, right? So
Sure.
LinkedIn is one of those good ones. And Google Plus communities, same sort of deal. I'm looking at Google Plus communities the same sort of way, although it's a little bit more complex because a lot of the Google Plus communities will have subgroups inside those communities. So it's a little bit more work, but I'm really making sure that I'm finding where my target market are hanging out in those communities, not other like-minded people, but target market. So whoever my target market is, it's small, medium-sized business, I'm making sure I'm in those groups, interacting with those people, because ultimately I want them to come along and say, hey, you know what? I actually do need a website or I do need some help with my online presence, and they'll connect with me that way. So Google Plus, and then on my Twitter account, I have got 2 accounts, one for the business, one for me, and I've got lists. I use lists a lot, and I sort of segment my lists to know who's talking about what, and I'll go in and interact with those people. I'm not doing a lot of people. I may be doing 20 or 30 different people that I'm concentrating on, but they're the people that are actually got influence in the area. So I'm really concentrating on finding out who are the influencers on Twitter that can amplify my message, if you like.
Which one of those channels are you getting the most mileage from?
LinkedIn at the moment, but I am finding some interesting new stuff from Google Plus, which has been really good.
I've not really ever got a handle on Google Plus, so how are you doing that?
Well, the thing with Google Plus is if you put the same piece of content, if you're putting your own content out there in a group, and let's say you're using an image and you write the same thing, and then you go to another group and you post the same thing in the same image, Google, they won't block you, but they'll tell the administrator of that group, that community, that it seems like you're spamming because you're putting the same message out. So you actually have to write new messages with new images in each community that you're a member of, which can be time-consuming and tedious. So I'm really picking my mark with those because I don't want to be posting stuff that people aren't going to read or interact with. So I really make sure these groups that I'm a member of are actually interacting groups. There's no point having 50,000 members when no one else is doing anything in it. It's a pointless group. So I really am picking my specific target when I do that on Google Plus. But, the results are showing. So it's been pretty good.
And LinkedIn, everyone has been saying LinkedIn is working really well. Did a post on it not too long ago. So LinkedIn is the top of the tree for you at the moment.
At the moment, yeah. There's a feature that LinkedIn have got rid of just recently. Well, people are saying that they've got rid of it, but some people are still seeing it. And that's the ability to connect with other group members via the common groups feature, which means that if you and I were in a group together, Loz, and I wanted to connect with you and I don't have your email address or anything like that, there used to be a section saying, we're in the same group, let's connect. And LinkedIn would give you that feature. Right now, that feature has disappeared. So it's harder to connect with people unless you say you're a colleague of each other without being a colleague. So it's a little bit harder to connect, but I'm finding that LinkedIn is still pretty powerful.
Okay, this is all good. Let's carry on with the brainstorming and move on to SEO and link building. Anything particular here you're doing at the moment to get more eyeballs on the page?
We are writing bigger posts now, for sure. And I think, we spoke about that in the piece that we wrote on Content Champion, but we are finding that people are staying obviously on our page longer. And if you can get people to stay on your page longer, obviously Google like it because they're spending more time. The time on site goes up. But what I'm doing also with our longer articles is that I'll post the article, get it out there. It'll have images in there. It'll have all sorts of stuff in it. Look, it'll be a great article. But then I'll even go back and add more to it. What we do is we create what we call snippets. I'll create 15, 20 different key points that I want to use for my Twitter. And I'll automate those posts going out for the next probably 60 days, one every couple of days. But of those specific snippets, if you like, I will get an image made up for each one. So just go to Canva or something like that, make an image up. And those images will formulate a couple of things. One is for some social posts, but also I'll create a slide share and put a slide share together and then embed the slide share back on my post after that. So it may be a week or two after the post goes up, but I'll go back and embed the slide share back on my post. And I'm looking at analytics on SlideShare, and I'm getting a lot of views now coming from my website looking through the SlideShare itself, which is pretty much a summary of the article itself.
That's a really great strategy, you see. This is why I wanted you to come on the show. So you're getting your... What are you using? Buffer or Hootsuite to
I'm using Hootsuite to... I do a bulk upload because it just makes it easy for me. But I'll write out the 20 snippets. Let's say it's 20. I write out the 20 snippets. I'll bulk upload them into Hootsuite. And then I'll just spread them out, make sure I've timed them. So they're over the next 30 to 45 days, pretty much. What I don't want to do is have an article go out there, all bells and whistles in the first week, and then dead silent. I don't want it to be that peak graph and then back to zero. I want to keep that graph moving. I want to keep people going back to that page because we're trying to write the content so it's at least relevant for at least 2 or 3 months. Well, that's hard to do in this industry sometimes, but I want to make sure that that content's relevant for at least a couple of months. So those little posts, those little tweets and stuff are just keeping that article alive, if you like.
So what size are these images that you're making in Canva and things like that?
I make them 640 by 380 or something for SlideShare, but then they can all just be scaled down to make them individual. So I create this on Canva, and then they all get saved as individual images as well. So it's either a SlideShare as one big slide or individual images. So we do need to tweak it sometimes when we're putting them out on Twitter versus a Facebook post because there's just some different sizes, but it just helps when I'm doing posts on Google Plus because, you want to have a good image on Google Plus as well. It just means I've got a different image every time.
Okay, so you're posting longer articles. You've got this ongoing social media campaign going along there. Are you finding that you're getting more natural links in an SEO sense from those longer articles and doing that sort of outreach? Yeah,
I use Ahrefs to look at all my backlinks and see what's going on. And I've just got an uphill trend ever since we started doing this. It's just going up, up, up. We've got more domains linking back, more individual pages linking back. So everything's going in the right direction, which is pretty cool. I'm looking at my backlinks in the last 2 weeks. I think it is 119 extra backlinks just from doing this stuff.
And people often think that if they're posting quite aggressively, as that is on Twitter, that everyone's going to read the same tweets, but they're not. They might only read one sort of 3 weeks in.
Let's say you're driving to work in the morning, okay? And you listen to the news at 7 a.m. and the news comes on, they tell you about whatever the latest problem is in the world. And then you're still driving because it's a long trip. And then 8 o'clock it comes on, or 7:30, the same news comes on. The same article is mentioned again, right? They don't care if you've already heard it at 7 o'clock. And they're not going to care if you're still in the car at 8 o'clock. They're going to say the same thing. It's not original. So we've been conditioned to listen to the same stuff over a period of time. Now, if somebody was reading your tweet stream for an hour solid or 3 hours solid, it's going to be pretty rare that someone's going to stick around that long. But there's no proof anywhere that says people are going to get turned off if you say the same thing twice.
Exactly. Okay. Let's move on to video and audio, podcasting, video content. I know you do some of this. Is that a big traffic driver for you?
Yeah, we've been podcasting for 3 years. We're about to do episode 100 in this week. And we're getting a lot of traffic. In fact, we're surprised how much traffic there is. We've got 80 countries that are picking this up, which is crazy because some of these countries I hadn't heard of before. But, they're picking it up and it's been great. We're getting, people coming. We've picked up business from it because people are listening to what we do. We don't sell too much on there. We don't sell hardly anything, really. We just tell people to come along and listen. And it's like anything, building that relationship, getting to know who you are, and then giving good value. And people, they may not buy, they won't buy mainly in the first instance, but as they get to know who you are and get to know your expertise, then they'll come along and buy. And you don't know when that point of decision was, but the more content we do that's good content, quality content, the better our results have been.
How are you repurposing that content from the podcasts and from video?
So we do two things. We do actually do a video show via Hangout. So do a Google Hangout. We do an interview, a guest, just like you're doing here, but we do it on video. We will put that through, syndicate it to iTunes, which then goes out to Stitcher and Spreaker, Podomatic, and iHeartRadio. And then we'll do a transcription of the show notes, and we use that as an opt-in, so that if people say you want the download, you want the show notes, then we can give them the show notes as well. So we're building our list at the same time.
And you don't do anything like getting the show notes, making them into a SlideShare, things like that.
We used to. We used to do a whole bunch of things like turning them into PDFs and sharing them on DocShare and some of those other PDF directories as well. And we just thought, you know what, we're not getting the results that we wanted from that. We were keeping a close eye on analytics, and we thought for the effort that we're putting into that and the traffic that's coming, we stopped doing that. So we may go back and visit it again, but at the moment, it wasn't giving us the best bang for buck, so we stopped doing that.
You're listening to the Content Champion Podcast, showcasing the best content marketing strategies across the web.
We're back with Andrew McCauley. Okay, so just a quick sort of back up here. We're looking at LinkedIn, particularly good at the moment in social media terms, and then obviously Twitter and Google+. Looking at longer posts for SEO point of view. We're looking at quite aggressively getting those images made and tweeting out over a couple of months to keep those natural links building and the interest building. We're talking about building relationships through podcasting as well, and also through video interviews, all to drive traffic back to your site. What do you do offline? Do you do anything, events, things like that?
Yeah, just actually got back from a speaking gig this morning. I pretty much speak every week, and these don't have to be big events or anything like that. I speak at Chamber of Commerce, events, and I've pretty much got one booked every week for the rest of the year, actually. But it's always different little topics. It's one topic, and I dig into it. So this morning we spoke about email marketing. Next week we're speaking about SEO, and then the week after social media. So we're doing one little topic, but I'm giving them something for free when I go there. So I'm getting them into my list. So let's say we had 25 people there this morning. And I'll say, okay, and we're talking about email marketing. Well, I've got a specific video series. Who would like to see that? And, they get their phone out, they text the number in to get that video content. And a lot of the people where I'm at seems to be a little bit technologically behind the times sometimes, but they've all got smartphones. So everyone's got one of those at the time. So they pull that out, they enter that through a text number, and they get delivered their little piece. Now, they can opt out, and I tell them about it, but I explain to them what I'm doing so that they could use it in their business as well. So it's a tool to educate them, as well as education that they're getting from that tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the teaching sales thing.
Yeah.
Is that lead pages, the function they've got, where you text in and they send you the lead?
No, I use lead pages all the time, but in that situation, we're using a third party. I think this one's connected to Infusionsoft. Lead pages is something we use. If they don't want to text in or they can't text in, I'll put their details through a lead page that we've set up for them anyway.
Okay, and to be clear on this, all this traffic, we don't want it to bounce off. It's targeted into a specific offer and to get people to join your list.
Yep, absolutely. And then once that's done, once they're in that list, then there's a whole nother world of what do we do, how do we segment it, and what do we need to send them to, which parts. And usually we're sending them bonus things, which happen to be our blog posts anyway. So we're going full circle now, and we might say, we've just created a amazing Instagram information piece that you want to make sure you check out. If you're not using Instagram for your business, you really should have a look at it. And then we're driving traffic back to our website there, because on there we have other offers as well. So we're not always selling in our emails. In fact, we're hardly selling. We're doing a lot of value added and giving a lot back to these people. So it becomes a full circle.
And how does the offline stuff convert compared to the online traffic sources?
Offline, when we're doing the text thing, it's great because we stand there and say, everyone pull your phone out. Come on, we're watching you. Let's pull it out. And everyone does it together. So they feel like if they don't do it, they're not part of the team. So we make it fun for them to do it. And we're not getting anyone opting out yet either, which is even better. So once they get in, they're getting a new video every week. We call it a Tuesday Tool Time Tip. Every Tuesday, they get a new little video that's about 3 minutes long on some sort of aspect of online marketing. And we haven't had anyone opt out yet. So we've been doing this for about 6 weeks now, and it's been really, really good.
So I guess the key is then you're looking at the strength of the relationship, aren't you? Whether it's offline or online. If they've got that relationship, if you're standing in front of someone saying, get your phone out, come on, we're all doing it, you're making a thing of it, text through to get your free PDF download or whatever it is, You're forming a fun relationship there, delivering value, and you should mirror that online as well.
Totally. I mean, this just because everything's online doesn't mean you don't build relationships anymore. It's all about building that whole relationship, right? We don't get up there and say, hi, my name's Andrew. Get out your phone and start texting. We give them maybe 40 minutes of content, and then we say, here's something to further enhance what we've just taught you. This is really going to bring this home. Get out your phone. And then by then, they know who we are. They've made their opinions of us, but after we've been speaking for a little bit, they know that we're offering good value, and they're going to see that whatever we're going to ask them to do is going to probably offer more good value.
Okay, so taking a step back from this, I guess the key point I wanted to come out of this sort of brainstorming for traffic session is there are hundreds of ways to drive traffic, and you've been through some great ones. Most of them sort of using content and building that relationship, as you say. But it is all about getting creative and finding new ways of doing it, isn't it?
Totally. And, I guess not so much coming up with a brand new way to do it, but get creative on what has worked in the past, whether it's been online or offline, and how can you use it for you today? There's a lot of offline stuff that is coming back again. People are like, wow, why would you send letters in the mail? Because it's working again, because people are sick of emails too much. So don't get frustrated with it. Go back and see what did work in the past and how can I use that in today's modern society to be creative and make that work for me today.
And keeping on the sort of broad overview of the industry as a whole, what sort of trends do you see developing in the space over the next year or so?
I think retargeting or remarketing is going to be massive this year. Really digging into segmentation of your list of what people do and what they don't like. But this remarketing thing, now that Facebook's got remarketing, Google AdWords is serving up remarketing everywhere. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically ads that follow you around because of where you've been in your past history in your browser, serving you up relevant information. It can even go down as far as dependent on the pages on a specific site that you visit, you'll see ads served up to you for that specific product. I think businesses are going to get smarter about what they're emailing people. Hopefully gone are the days where they send out 5 or 6 emails a day about stuff that you're not interested in, and they only send content in emails that you're actually interested in, so you get to open it up, because I think the open rates of emails are dropping even more. So I think we're going to see a bigger targeting effort from a lot of businesses this year.
I know earlier on you mentioned you're writing the longer posts for SEO. Mm-hmm. I was reading a great article this morning about multimedia long form posts and how people are going to have the slide share, the podcast, audio, the video, the text in there. So you might have a 5,000 word blog post with a slide share and a podcast in it. And that is kind of the way it's going in a sort of content arms race.
You're right. Arms race is a good word. It's going to be a book. You're going to be writing a book every time you do a post these days. We used to think that it was going the other way, where you'd be writing Twitter style 140 character long posts. Not anymore. That doesn't work. You've got to be writing stuff that people say, I want to save this. One thing that we do on our posts now is we offer a PDF download of the post, because some people want to take it away. They don't want to read it when they get to it. They're like, hey, I want to put this in my swipe file, or I want to download it. And of course, we ask for an email address to do that.
Okay, just before the PS question, could you remind us where we can find you online, all your various resources, so we can discover more about your products and services?
My business is Autopilot Your Business, but you want to go to aybsocial.com. We made a short link there. If not, autopilotyourbusiness.com is where I'm at, so you can see me there.
Wait for it, listeners. Here comes the PS question.
What one strategy for traffic generation should we go with right after this call?
I would say follow that post on Content Champion. That's working a treat for us. Reach out to people that are already interested in that topic and get them to share something relevant that you've just written about.
What's your response rate on that Twitter strategy, by the way?
I have a Google URL that I put in for each of those, and it's easily in the top 3 of my traffic generators.
Because I did some promotion using that strategy on the post itself. And I got, it's about 5 or 6% response rate. And that was off, just outsourcing 100 emails and then sending through the emails in about half an hour. You could easily scale that up massively. Yeah.
Here's the thing with that is that I would get someone that's not going to cost you a lot of money per hour basis, get them to find out those, but use something like a BuzzSumo to find out who's been sharing it. And the worst case scenario is they say no, or they don't answer you. Not only that, is we're getting connected with people like you that want to know more about it, or they're saying, how can we work together, sort of thing. So it's not just sharing an article, it's a lot more than that.
Well, that's a fantastic strategy. We both know it works. Andrew, I'm just very grateful for you coming on the show today, and I do wish you every success in future.
Thanks, Loz. Thanks for having me on the show. I really enjoy it, and I'll be looking forward to sharing this with all my peeps as well.
You've been listening to the Content Champion podcast. Available at contentchampion.com, Stitcher, Zune, the BlackBerry Network, and on iTunes. Until next time, thanks for listening.